All right, it looks like Cleveland Browns defensive lineman Maliek Collins had some very, very strong things to say about Shedeur Sanders in this quarterback situation for the Browns. This is making waves all over the internet. We got to get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. Let's get right into things. This is courtesy of Dog Pound Daily, where it says Brown defenders say what fans needed to hear about Deshaun Watson's lead. Now, we all know Mary Kay Cabot tried to run with the story and make it seem like Deshaun Watson had some lead on the quarterback battle that Todd Monken debunked within 24 hours, okay? Here it says, the 2026 Cleveland Browns, bearing something wildly unforeseen, will feature one of Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, rookie, Taylor Green as a starting quarterback. The two extreme long shots at this juncture appear to be Gabriel and Green. While recent reports indicate that Watson has somehow taken the lead in the competition, conventional wisdom be damned. The conundrum likely represents the first crossroads for Todd Monken to define what his tenure in Cleveland will be. Okay, here it says fans have grown understandably tired of Watson, who never got much of a warm welcome to begin with for reasons that are well known, not worth rehashing in this space. Claiming Watson took the lead in a quarterback competition, checks notes voluntarily, unpadded veteran minicamp, in an insult not only to the rest of the Cleveland Browns, is an insult not only to the Cleveland Browns roster, but the entire fan base as well. There's little resembling NFL football that went on at practices. The scene more closely resembles a friendly toss between children at recess. Okay. Here it says the entire firestorm has Browns fans worrying that Monken's tough talk was just a shtick and that the ownership group's fingerprints remain on matters where they have no business meddling. At the very least, fans have a trustworthy source to keep the hope alive for now. In an appearance on five-time Pro Bowler Teron Armstead's podcast, The Set, standout Browns defensive lineman Maliek Collins made it clear that the team knows where the competition stands going forward, and it's far from over. Mary Kay Cabot. Okay. Here it says, when Collins, who said he had spent time with Monken earlier in the offseason, was asked if he had any thoughts regarding the quarterback competition, he initially played coy. He said, I don't have any. I think the main thing is they're both good dudes. I've seen the type of player Deshaun is. I've seen how dynamic he's been in the past. I think he has a lot to prove. I think Shedeur, he's super talented. I think he also has a lot to prove going forward. I think they said it was going to be an open competition, so may the best man win. Maliek Collins just hinted Browns competition isn't what it seems. It says it's important to note that the veterans have also been told that this would be an open competition. If Browns ownership thinks fans are the only ones wary about the latest Watson developments, they're mistaken. The very players who make up the team might have something to say if they believe Monken has been disingenuous. These are the kinds of cracks in the foundation that could doom yet another head coaching tenure in Cleveland. Okay, so you got defensive lineman Maliek Collins letting it be known that's not true. This quarterback competition is far from over. We are going to watch these guys battle it out in training camp. Shedeur Sanders has a great chance of winning the job. Now, Tyvis Powell joined UCSS, and they talked about Shedeur Sanders and his potential of being a top 20 quarterback. Let's take a listen to it.
Yesterday, Tyvis did his weekly hot take, and it was relatively... It was lukewarm, we'll call it. No, it wasn't crazy. He said Austin Barber could end up being the Browns' most important pick from the draft, and it did awesome numbers on YouTube. So, Tyvis, great job for giving us a headline. But I was going through my topic list, and I just keep a running topic list for show ideas. And I've had this one highlighted for right now. On February 17th, Tyvis was on the panel. We were having a discussion, something Browns related, and Bull, it was not the topic, but you had asked Tyvis, what's the potential of this team? And Tyvis goes, well, how good the quarterback is going to depend on that. So, Bull, you said, all right, so do you think Shedeur could be a top 20 quarterback next year? If he's top 20, then maybe we could get to where you go. And Tyvis said, I refuse to answer that question until after the draft. So, Tyvis, the draft has now passed. Do you believe Shedeur Sanders can be a top 20 quarterback in 2026 with all the new additions to the offensive line and the receiving room the Browns have made via free agency and the 2026 NFL draft?
I think the question should be, is he likely to be a top 20? I mean, of course there's a chance. There's a chance anybody could be.
Okay.
But do you think it's likely he'll be a top 20 quarterback?
I think that the Browns have done an unbelievable job, boosting up this roster. I think Zach said yesterday that they spent about $100 million on the offensive line. If you think about that, and they play to their potential because it's really a lot of boom or bust with a couple of players on that line. You think about Titus Howard and you think about Zion Johnson, those two guys in particular. Who's drinking a pop?
Sorry about that.
You think about those two guys.
I tried to be as quiet as I could. I tried to be as quiet as I could. Open it. Relax. Better to drink.
Anyways, you think about those two guys in particular. If George Warhop can get those guys to play to their full potential, I think absolutely. I think, if Casey Concepcion is able to catch the ball, Denzel Boston becomes a good red zone threat and can catch some of the 50-50 balls, absolutely. The thing with Shedeur Sanders is something that I pointed out yesterday. Shedeur Sanders is one of those guys that skips the layups to take the go for the great. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to make sure that person that you're going for great with, that receiver, also has greatness inside of him as well. And I think he fell victim to trusting his teammates a little bit too much, and their ability just didn't materialize. So hopefully, you need a Jerry Jeudy to turn it around. You need Denzel Boston to be able to adjust to the NFL game and be able to make those plays. You need Casey Concepcion and Isaiah Bond and those guys to all do that. I think that they've done enough that you can absolutely put if he is a starting quarterback and he you can't eliminate turnovers because he's going to happen. If he cuts them down and gets rid of some of those what the heck are you doing throws, absolutely he could be a top 20 quarterback in this league.
Tyvis, you mentioned it. It's still an if. We don't know if he's even going to be the starter. But you're a guy that's been in OTAs. You're a guy that knows this team. Once they get started in a couple weeks, what is the importance of this time for Shedeur and taking that next step, whether he's going to end up a top 20 quarterback or a backup on this team or somewhere outside of those two things?
I think that first of all, it's a new playbook, so you gotta get that going. And I think that, for all the media guys that will be out there, you've been doing this. Look, no.
Yes.
The true media guys that will be out there assessing practice. You have to understand that the defense always dominates early on. When you got a new offense and you're installing a new offense, it always starts off slow. So the defense is going to look dominant because although they have a new DC, it's very reactionary. Offense is all about timing, and that timing and that chemistry is still trying to get going. You got guys that didn't come to the voluntary minicamp, so it's not going to look pretty right away for the offense. So I'm not going to judge it off of the first couple of days. Once you get about a week or so in, usually they pick up that timing. For him, he has to be able to get that playbook down, be able to take the layups. You got to show the coach that I will take the layups if I need to necessarily. I know that's what you want me to do. If it's 3rd and 5 and we need 4, I'm going to take the 5 to see another down. That's what you have to do. And then every now and again, the fans and the team want to be able to make defenses defend the entire field. And I think for so long it's been, let's pack the box to stop Nick Chubb. Last year it was, let's stop Harold Fanning and let's flat foot at 10 because nobody's going to throw the ball past 10 yards. To where you get to the Raiders game, why is Isaiah Bond wide open? Well, heck, nobody's thrown a deep ball this entire year, so nobody thought that he was going to run that, and boom, it's an explosive play. So you still want to see those explosive plays in the passing game, but for him, he's got to show people that I will take the layup because if it's right there, it's the simple and easy throw to move the chains.
Tyvis, if Deshaun Watson's the starter, and it's not Shedeur from day one, what happens to Shedeur? I mean, do you think that? I mean, I assume he'll still be here. I don't think they're going to get rid of him or trade him or anything like that. How long do you play Watson until is it wins and losses? Do you look at performance? I think Shedeur is going to start some games this year for sure, even if he's not the starter week 1. How do you see that kind of playing out if Watson's day 1 starter?
Well, history tells us in the past few years that everybody from Deshaun to Taylor Green needs to be ready to play because all 4 of the quarterbacks have played in all of these years. Now, if Deshaun Watson is the starter, I think that obviously he won the competition. He's head and shoulders better than Shedeur Sanders. So that means Shedeur needs to figure out what it is that he's lacking on. I'm sure with Ty Monken, he's going to be very transparent. It's not going to be them holding back information or anything like that. Not saying that happened with Kevin, but I just think that Ty, we all know he's a little bit more upspoken about what he wants to say. So I think that the message will be loud and clear for Shedeur to know what he needs to work on. For Deshaun, it's about just going out there and making sure that we win games. I think that's ultimately what Todd Monken wants. We said it on this show a million times. Todd Monken's going to play the quarterback that he thinks can win him the most game. Because as you know, this thing is year to year, especially when you're a new head coach. It's not guaranteed that you're going to be here next year either. So you need to go out there and win some games. And as you had your owner come out and say, we thought this team was better than a 5-win team. Well, you better be shooting for more than 5 wins this season, because if not, they're going to be looking at you sideways. So to me, I think that Deshaun Watson, when he goes out there, it's all about his performance. Are you doing well? Are you getting close to, a Tennessee Titans or Arizona Cardinal Deshaun Watson when you was with the Browns? Are you taking care of the football? Are we winning games? Are we able to come back in fourth quarters? Things like that. Leadership. I mean, a lot of people think that leadership, kind of went away. It wasn't a lot of people that believed in Deshaun Watson because of the way that the Browns handled the situation, with not criticizing him in practice. Is Todd Monken going to be that type of guy? Is he going to criticize Deshaun? We all think he will be. Okay, if that's the case, then Deshaun Watson needs to get that leadership back. He needs to make sure that these guys believe in that they got a chance. I think with Shedeur Sanders, whether we believe it or not, I do believe at points in times of that season last year that offense thought, hey, we can win this game. And Shedeur Sanders brought that type of confidence and swagger to that huddle. And Deshaun Watson's going to have to do that same thing.
Tyvis, if we get 4 or so weeks from now, we get towards the end of the spring and Monken comes out and says Deshaun's our starter. Will the conversation for you be, is Shedeur Sanders one of the 220 best quarterbacks in the league, where will you be in terms of thinking? But will that be more about this team, I guess,